Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Comic Boom Comic Source collaboration. It's your DC Spotlight for the week of May 6, 2026. 9 books to talk about today. Not really going to cover the DC Sonic crossover, but I will mention that if that book's, this is, I think, the third one they've done. And obviously they sell really well because I think the first volume, first time they did it is up to like sixth printing or something on the first
Yeah,
issue.
and I like the variant covers. I do like the covers, which are always
Yeah.
good for a great cover. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, like you were saying before we started recording, our buddy Steve's like, "Oh, you need to read it, you need to read it," and I'm like, "Man, I've just never been a Sonic guy. Maybe I'll get time to check it out one of these days." And that's the other thing. Like, I'm so busy. I got so much going on with the podcast and YouTube channel and everything, and people are showing up. You guys are liking the reviews. Still putting up the daily cover, going through. Posted the entire series of ROM Space Knight, including the annuals. Now I'm doing Ghost Rider. Haven't decided. I'm going to do a DC title next. I haven't decided exactly what it is. But then, because I'm not busy enough, well, let me put up a cool DC and Marvel image every day. So doing that, Marvel Daily. So I say all that to say, follow the Comic Source on social media just for some cool comics. I mean, nothing comes of it really, just, hey, you want to see a cool piece of Marvel art and a cool piece of DC art every day. You can go over there and check them out. So that being said, I thought this week was okay. Um, Nothing blew me away, but I didn't think anything was, really bad. There were some things that maybe didn't hit as hard as they would. They were kind of on the upswing and then kind of took a downswing as they came in for the landing, which was, not the best.
Mhm.
Um, but exciting news. DC still doing great. Sales are still great. If you guys didn't hear the news, Firestorm was extended to 9 issues instead of 6. I still hope it goes even farther than that. I still think it's a fantastic idea to turn it into it turns out to be a stealth absolute book.
I
I
hope
don't
so
think
too.
it's gonna happen. It's too good of an idea.
Uh,
But I don't think they'll do that. So anyway, we'll get into the books. I imagine this might be a little bit of a shorter episode because, like I said, some of them are a bit disappointing. I don't have that much to say, but yeah, overall decent week. Everything's still looking good for DC. What do you think of the week, Rocky?
yeah, I thought overall it was an easy choice for my top five. I thought it was a fairly mediocre week myself. Um, it's I'm seeing a pattern in my own particular habits. I continue to make the distinction between great DC comics and good DC comics. The physical copies, I am for the most part buying physical copies of the great ones. But the just the good ones, I'm not, because I'm budgeting and it's between, it's hard. It's very difficult to. I'd love to be able to buy everything, but between the indies and DC, I'm actually, I have no plans to collect any Marvel actually. Once the Ultimates are done, so but Marvel has yet to really. In fairness, I should probably get on top of that. I heard good things about Daredevil, Stephanie Daredevil, and I want to get PKG some Hulk. But in any event, back to DC. I again. Good problem to have, but this was an easy top five for me this week. It was very easy for me to choose.
Yeah, I mean, only 4 books last week, and I got to be honest, a couple of the books in my top five, I don't think would be in my top five in a regular week, and obviously we'll talk about it when we get there. But when I was ranking them, I was like, oh wait, just by default, this is coming in at number 4 when I didn't even think it was going to be in my top five. So yeah, I mean, I kind of, like I said, okay week. I mean, use the word mediocre, so I think we're on the same page there. As far as Marvel, I mean, I did really enjoy the first issue of the Stephanie Phillips Daredevil. I think the second issue comes out this week. Um,
Yeah.
if or it might be next week. I don't know. Whenever it does, I am going to review it over on the Comic Source channel, everybody. So check that
Yeah.
out. I'm still collecting Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, only because I have been forever. But I haven't really been reading it other than the Death Spiral storyline, which just felt like I've been here before. It was called Maximum Carnage. Didn't feel like anything new. But I am really liking Joshua Williamson's Iron Man. So I'm reading Iron Man. I'm reading
Yeah.
PKJ's Hulk. Um, yeah, I'm reading the Ultimate stuff, but that's about to come to a close. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's not the fewest Marvel titles I've ever bought, only
Yeah.
because Williamson is on
Yeah.
Iron Man.
I
So
am collecting
usually,
Iron Man. Thank you for
yeah,
mentioning that. I am reading Iron Man. I'm enjoying Iron Man.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Usually it's just I just collect Amazing Spider-Man because I want to keep my run going,
Yeah.
and that's it. But then I've been reading PKJ's Hulk, so that put me up to 2. And then when
Yeah.
Williamson jumped on Iron Man, that put me up to 3. And then Stephanie Phillips, and another writer that we really enjoy, I'm like, I'll check out her Daredevil, and that was good. So I might be up to 4.
Yeah.
And I've also been dipping in and out on Zdarsky's Captain America, but it's been a while since I read any of that. But you bring up Marvel. If anybody else is out there, we know that the Punisher TV show is coming out. Like it's a one-time special. I think it's called Last Kill or One More Kill or One Last Kill or something like that. So
Yeah.
anyway, because that was coming out, I was curious. I'm like, where's the Punisher at right now? I read Jason Aaron's Punisher run. I liked it. It was different. It did something really unique with the character. And I read Dan Panosian's and Jimmy Palmiotti's 4-issue Marvel Knights Punisher, which again I enjoyed, but it's not like modern Punisher. So I was curious. Benjamin Percy's currently writing the Punisher, and oftentimes when even though they say they don't do it, they used to say it adamantly, right? No, we don't follow the film or TV, whatever. We don't, and then they would in the comics. And so I was curious. I was like, where's the Punisher at right now? Like, because the stuff that I mentioned, the Devil's Trigger from Jimmy Palmiotti and Bianchi, and then the one that he did, Jimmy and Dan Panosian did, they weren't really in continuity. And the Daredevil one, the Daredevil team up, was more of a Daredevil book than a Punisher book. So I was kind of curious. I'm like, where is the Punisher at right now? Because at the end of the 12-issue Jason Aaron, he was off in Weird World. So they brought him back. Benjamin Percy brought him back in the Red Band Punisher 5-issue, which was pretty good. It was very brutal and violent, as you would expect from a Red Band. And now we're 3 issues in to Benjamin Percy, continuing basically the story that he started in the Red Band with the Punisher. So I read all 8 of those issues just to see, hey, will it tie in? Even though I don't watch the MCU stuff, I was just curious. And it's really interesting from what I've seen. I went and watched the trailer for this upcoming Punisher MCU show, just because I saw, hey, here's where the Punisher's at in comics right now. Then I went and watched the trailer, and I was like, oh, I wonder, because John Bernthal wrote this, and you kind of wonder, hey, and obviously it takes a lot longer to develop a television show. Was Ben Percy like privy to what they were going to do in the show, and that's why, because they're doing kind of similar things with like mental stuff, and
Yeah.
that's as far as I'll go. You can go watch the video on the Comic Source channel if you want more in depth on that. So yeah, I'm caught up on the Punisher, even though I'm not really reading it. I just read the press preview copy. So anyway, that's enough Marvel talk. Everybody's like, get to the DC stuff already. And we will dive in. And we're going to start off. I'm not actually going to have a lot to say about this book. It's Batman #9. It's from writer Matt Fraction. Ryan Sook handles the art. Wade Von Grabinger on inks. Tameya Mori on colors. Now, it's absolutely fantastic to see Ryan Sook doing interiors, because he doesn't do a whole lot of interior work. He did do the Black Canary Best of the Best, which was fantastic as well. But to see him on this, not that I don't enjoy the Jorge Jimenez art, I do, but I love Ryan Sook's art, and to see him on interiors is just, it's a breath of fresh air. But this is one of those books that made my top 5. I think I even specifically mentioned it. It came in at number 4, I believe. Let me just get it in front of me. Yeah, it came in at number 4 for me, but this, it didn't blow me away. I was actually a little disappointed in it. I and for the most part, I've really been enjoying what Matt Fraction's been doing with Batman. But this just felt a little bit out of left field. A little bit of setup for what we're having with the Barbara Gordon Next Level, where she's in prison kind of thing. She lets herself get captured here. They blow up Wayne Manor, which I was like, wait, what? It just felt, I don't know. There was something off about this issue. It's like we saw last issue that Vandal Savage, Commissioner Savage, was able to convince Poison Ivy in some way to outlaw the Batman and his Bat family, and so all of a sudden they're outlawed, they're illegal. This isn't reinventing the wheel. They've been outlawed before. They've been pursued by Gotham City Police Department before. Maybe never to this level, but it felt like the entire Bat family was so on their back foot and unprepared. It just didn't feel. It just felt off to me. Like the Gotham City Police Department is not this formidable. Like we talk all the time about power creep with Batman, right? Oh, he's too powerful. This is like the opposite. This is I don't know what you'd call it. Power creep, depowered creep. Like all of a sudden, these guys can't take out like cops. Like I don't know. It felt like everything that happened was just it happened that way because it needed to happen that way for the story that Matt Fraction needs to tell, but it didn't feel authentic. You know, it lacked verisimilitude to use, you know, one of Rocky's favorite words. It just felt like really you have to blow up Wayne Manor. You have to. I don't know. It just I really didn't care for it, even though it came in at number 4. A lot of that had to do with the art. The art's gorgeous, but it was like, really, Barbara Gordon has to sacrifice herself, and now she's going to go to prison. Batman's going to blow up Wayne Manor. He can't. He doesn't have like contingency plans for all his different bunkers where he can just like hit a button and anything that could be incriminating or he wouldn't want to fall into the wrong hands would be destroyed. You know what I mean? Or the entire bunker or whatever would just like fill up with molten lead or just something, right? Like Batman is supposed to have everything planned out and be one step ahead or whatever. And all of a sudden, except when not in service of the writing, do you know what I'm saying, Rocky? Like it just felt like everything happened here in a way that it doesn't match up with anything that we know of the recent Batman and him being one step ahead or whatever. So yeah, I've really been enjoying this Batman run, but this particular, I mean, easy for me to say this is my least favorite issue of this run so far.
Yeah,
it just didn't feel authentic.
Yeah,
at all.
It does feel a little bit out of left field. The sudden plot, and it seems a little tropey. We've seen this before, even though we haven't seen it exactly before. It does, but yeah.
Batman, at the end of the day, he just came across as so weak and ineffectual, and that's so antithetical to the Batman we've had for the last 20 years.
Yeah. I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know. I'm not quite as harsh in my review as you are in terms of I didn't find him weak and ineffectual. In fact, I thought what I thought was interesting was that Batman has a plan. Everything that's happened seems to be part of Batman's plan, except maybe for Batgirl being captured, although I wonder if even that was part of the plan with Oracle being captured. I'm opening, because I'm not sure exactly how much of this was Batman's plan, but clearly he planned to blow up Wayne Manor because he knows that Vandal Savage knows his secrets. He knows. He spoke with Alan Scott. He's got more insight into Vandal Savage now for whatever reason, and so he's got a master plan, and he feels that he has to do it this way. It's very interesting at the end when he blows up the Wayne Manor. He has Damian blow up Wayne Manor and then says, "Now let's go home." Well, where's home? I thought it was Wayne Manor. I thought it was under the manor. I thought it was the cave. Isn't that where the home is? So it is very interesting. But I will admit that I was a little bit taken aback, like you. I didn't want to interrupt if you got more to say about the issue.
I mean, the only other thing I'll say is it just felt like it was done for shock value.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, Wayne Manor hasn't, since Alfred was killed, Wayne Manor doesn't really, it holds not, it's not special anymore. You know, like we had the Joker owned it in the Joker War. Bruce Wayne was living in a brownstone. Like, the trappings around Bruce Wayne, the trappings around Batman have meant so little lately because there's been no consistency and nobody has made them matter. And so
maybe it's a good idea that he blows it up. Maybe that's a good reason to blow it up.
But that's my point. Like, since it hasn't mattered and there is no Alfred, I think we're supposed to be shocked that Wayne Manor is blown up here. But I kind of was like, well, who cares? Wayne Manor doesn't mean anything anymore. It hasn't meant anything for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really have much to add. I've been really enjoying Matt Fraction's run. I was really excited. I know the character's not called Lady Death, but that character, I really wanted to see her return. I was really excited. There was, it was some of the Arguably, that one single issue of Batman a couple issues back, I thought was one of the best issues of Batman I've read in like a decade. I just thought it was awesome. This feels like we're going into older territory, but I have faith with Matt Fraction. I think he's got a direction he wants to go. I have a feeling, since this is part of Batman has a plan here. He knows I think it's going to be interesting to see what Fraction has in mind in terms of how Batman's going to take on Vandal Savage. And I also want to say that we're going to be reviewing this week in probably about half an hour. We're going to be of video time. We're going to be reviewing Poison Ivy, and Batman confronts Poison Ivy, who's the mayor of Gotham, and gives her the heads up, saying, Poison Ivy, please leave Gotham. If you do, I won't go after you. I won't hold you accountable. So Batman even kind of warms Pamela, and so clearly I'm thinking like something's in the works here. Batman's got something going on, and the whole Bat family's with him. So this is clearly a setup issue, but I agree with you. It does feel a little bit, we've seen this before, but I'm thinking that maybe that's just Fraction saying, hey guys, stick with me, because this is just the calm before the storm.
Yeah, I mean, I've been really enjoying this run. One bad issue doesn't ruin it for me. And I think this is probably a necessary issue in order to kind of turn the corner with where he's going next. And again, it ties in with other things. Like, we mentioned the upcoming Batgirl, Barbara Gordon Next Level series, where I think Mariko Tamaki's writing it. Amike Nahelapan, I think, is doing the art. So this gets her there, right? You mentioned the connection with Poison Ivy. Get a little bit of Tim Drake with Bernard. So kind of setting all the pieces. Let's get everybody where they need to be. It necessary sometimes. But yeah, it just felt a little wonky. So
yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. Up next, we have Batman Static Beyond number 6. I've really been enjoying this. After the first couple issues, it really felt like this kind of found its footing. But unfortunately, this is another one I was a little disappointed in. It instead of ending with a bang, it sort of ends with a little bit of a whimper here. So it came in at number 6 for me. Written by Evan Narcisse, art by Miguel Mendoca, colors by Will Quintana, and letters by Wes Abbott. The art is fantastic, as it has been throughout with Miguel doing the art. And it was a satisfying enough conclusion. But, partway through when they introduced the cosmic stuff with this sort of almost like a alternate future, united planets, and the Earth is petitioning to become a part of it and what have you. When they introduced that, it introduced like this secondary plot line. And now when we go to get the conclusion of this story with the team up of Static and Batman Beyond, it was like, well, we got to sort of tie up this other part as well. And that, I think, it like competed for space. And so then the story that we had felt like that it didn't have as much space maybe as it could have in order to really nail the landing. The tie-in itself, how they tied the two storylines together, felt kind of wonky as well. Maybe that's the word of the week, wonky, because basically what we had was, those members of the wannabe United Planets or what have you that, heard about the Q juice, and they didn't call it Q juice, but they mentioned it a couple issues ago. Hey, there's this substance on Earth and it's giving people powers or whatever, and it could be used as an energy source, and we should go, steal some, whatever. They're having their own problems. And so they go there, and they're overheard by some junior members of the Justice League, and that was all building up. And so when they actually arrive there, they do like a scan. They see that a lot of the planet doesn't have power because of what Shutdown was doing. And they actually hone in on Shutdown and kidnap him. And they're using him. They want to use him as a weapon to, further their machinations or what have you. And so that's how the two different storylines tie in. And that's how, I mean, in fairness to Evan Narcisse, Batman Beyond and Static already sort of talked Melvin down. They already sort of talked Shutdown down. Or maybe it's just a consequence of during the fight between the three of them, Melvin's parents get hurt, and then he's like, "What? It's not what I meant to do, whatever." And so yeah, he ends up getting captured. Then they go and rescue him, and then all of a sudden, now he's sort of seen the light, not completely. And I will give Evan Narcisse credit for that, for not making it this redemption that doesn't feel earned at the end. But it just in trying to tie these things together, it just made it a little messy. I think the story would have been served better to have left that cosmic stuff out and just focus more on the characters, because that's kind of how it started. And I feel like I think it was with issue 2 where it really kind of took off for me. Um, so yeah, it just felt like that cosmic stuff, the space angle, was kind of shoehorned in, and it didn't feel completely necessary. So um, I don't know how well this is selling. I didn't. I haven't heard anything about it, so I don't know if we'll get any more of it. Um, but it was good for what it was. Like I said, it came in at number 6 for me. Anything to add, Rocky?
Yeah, I just thought I like the cosmological element of it. I mean, this takes place. It's an Elseworlds. It's really odd that this comic series exists, because this is an Elseworlds tale of the Milestone universe combined with Batman Beyond. That's really weird, but it's kind of cool because in the future, Earth is joining the cooperative, which is a cosmic alliance. But the cosmic alliance is brought into jeopardy because this Shutdown character, who's a high school student who gains some strange energy powers, this Q juice that has a particular energy, has a particular name as a kind of energy that the other aliens in the universe, they want it, and they don't think Earth's ready for this energy, and so they think it's safer to go and kidnap this Shutdown. And there's a legitimate argument for that, because the central conflict of this whole series has been between Batman Beyond and Static. Static wants to try to understand Shutdown, feels that he's got hope, he's misunderstood. Batman Beyond feels that he's got too much power, that he's going to be corrupted, he needs to be shut down, literally. And so that moral dilemma and that approach to Shutdown sort of forms the character arc of the series, and then the larger cosmic story is sort of on the periphery. But the problem with this series, and it's, it varies. It's more serious for you. I'm more forgiving of it. And it's a problem with the larger Milestone universe in general. The writers always try to cram so much story into a Milestone series. It's like oh, we only got 6 issues. Let's cram all this in. I would have liked to have had another 3 issues to really explore the cosmological alliance with the cooperative, because we got so many cool characters. We had a few more issues to really flush that out, because it does feel forced, but at the same time, it's kind of cool. I like the story and the plot elements, and when I describe the plot elements to myself, it sounds cool, but it doesn't quite, that cool factor doesn't quite translate when I'm reading the comic itself all the time. But again, it's something that it's another example of Milestone is just on the cusp of some really great stories, and with the Dakota incident gaining the Milestone universe prominence, and with this Elseworlds tale, I mean, I'm hoping that the Milestone, it continues to get better and better. But you and I have talked before when we reviewed these Milestone stories. Often the stories, the plot elements are interesting in there, but they feel a little bit convoluted at times and shoehorned in. So, it's good, but it could be better.
Yeah, it's your good, not great argument all over again. All right, up next we have Absolute Green Lantern. We're up to issue number 14. Tomar, Al Ewing's the writer, Sid Codian on art, Pressy does colors, Lucas Catoni on letters. This was in your top 5. It's in my top 5 as well. Give us your thoughts. As
the comic is about to appear here, here we go. Sorry. I enjoyed this. We finally get, last issue we got sort of we got sidetracked a little bit, focusing on the character of Rand and sort of like the version of Shade the Changing Man, and this we're sort of back to the main plot where the Green Lantern, Jo Mullein, she was kidnapped by Taja Rowe, who is the rogue Red Lantern, and basically he wants to use her, and they're traveling within the Green Lantern construct to fly toward Mogo to kill Mogo. And Taja Ray, who is the sort of the rogue element of the Red Lanterns, the anomaly, he's kidnapped Jo Mullein, the analog, or the rogue element of the Green Lantern, and he wants to use her to basically kill Mogo and basically destroy the Black Stars. there's a lot more is explained here. We get more interaction between Jon Stewart and other characters, and more mythology in terms of how the various the various powers sort of interact with each other. It's discovered that the Red Lantern, Tomar, he even though the red is about restraint, he can use his power of restraint to control and overpower Jo Mullein and her power over, and to try to like control her. And he mentions and he talks about how the hierarchies of this absolute spectrum, that even though the green is higher on the scale than red, the scale is actually flipped, because if you're a black star, the scale is flipped and red is higher than the green. So it's really a question of experience and abilities and life experience, and how you incorporate the power of restraint or chaos or whatever power you have. So I think it's interesting. I've read this a couple times. I think that more and more we're learning more and more about all the various, the Black Stars, the Reds, the Green Lanterns, and the Enlightenment, and so the story here is ramping up. And clearly there's going to be a confrontation at this issue. There's a lot of action that I enjoyed. I think there's a tragic story of Tomar. Remember that Jo Mullein, she ended up accidentally stealing the power from Abin Sur. And when you steal the power of a Green Lantern, that's basically how she became like the rogue Green Lantern. Tomar, when he was a child, his mother either gave him the power, or he accidentally stole his mother, who was a Red Lantern. He stole it from his own mother. That's how he became a rogue Red Lantern. So that there's a tragedy to Tomar Ray's story, which I think is really good, and it's fascinating. Because I read this, and even though Tomar and Jo are fighting each other, I don't get a sense of Tomar is really a villain. He feels like a tragic character looking for some kind of place in the universe, some kind of redemption. He's clearly got his own issues, and I really like that. And so I think that Al Ewing's done a sort of a good job of sort of, once again, planting seeds to get me interested. But at the same time, am I completely 100% in on, do I completely fully understand the interaction of all these rogue elements? No. But I continue to remain curious and invested in the story. And I do think this was, for me, and I'm really curious to hear your thoughts, because I know you've been a lot more vocal in your feelings on this. I continue to remain engaged in this, and even though I have a little bit of an ego. I like to be able to explain things at a particular level of my own satisfaction, because if I can't do it to myself and we review comics, I like to be able to say something that makes coherent sense because I know, especially when we're talking to people that are listening to us. But all I'll say is that I enjoyed this, but I think this is something that it's like a good dessert. The reader should just read it for themselves, see what they can get out of it. These 14 issues so far continues to develop the mythology. And I think things are really ramping up here, because ultimately they're the ultimate battle with the Black Stars, Sinestro, Mogo. This is clearly heading towards something big. And how all these colors of the spectrum are going to interact with each other. This is something that I get a sense of discovery every time I read this comic. I'm discovering something else. I'm seeing, just when I think I understand chaos and restraint and enlightenment, there's a different element that comes into play in an issue. And there's elements of frustration that I experience, but then satisfaction as well. So I continue to have mixed feelings, but at the same time, some excitement, if that makes any sense. So, so there you have it. So this is a recommend for me. I do recommend this, but I could certainly understand people continuing to have some degree of frustration with it. But I'm really curious to hear your thoughts.
I mean, I enjoyed this particular issue. It's just, like somebody was asking me about Absolute Green Light. It was actually, this last weekend was Free Comic Book Day on Saturday, or Comic Giveaway Day, whatever. And so I typically go kind of later in the day to my LCS, or sometimes I'll hit up one or two. But I kind of I wanted to go, but at the same time, I go later and it's crowded, whatever. So I just want to go and get it over with. So I went early. I was actually the first one in line at my LCS, and I didn't go that early. I only went like an hour before. And I took my little stool and my iPad so I could read comics while I was waiting. Um, and then another one of the guys that comes in regularly on Wednesday, he showed up. He was like third in line or whatever. So we were talking, and he's like, "Well, what are you reading?" I'm like, "Well, I'm reading the DC books for this next week. I just finished reading Absolute Green Lantern." He goes, "Oh, Absolute Green!" Like he's been digging it. He's like, "Oh, it's been so good or whatever." I was
Yeah.
like, and I was expressing my frustration. I was like, "Yeah, that last issue where it just comes out of nowhere." And I told him, something I've said on this podcast many times, where it's like an episode of Lost, that old TV show where you have all these questions, and so you watch it hoping for answers, and then at the end of it, you maybe get a couple answers, but by the time the episode is over, you're left with more. You have even more questions than you had when the episode started, and that's how I feel about Green Lantern. And I'm starting to feel a little bit frustrated. And I was like, practically, like if I was buying it physically or whatever, like I would have jumped off already. Like it's too frustrating. But but the issue that came out this week, that's coming up this coming Wednesday, this one we're reviewing, right? I was like, it's so good. It's so awesome to get a little bit more information about the spectrums as you were talking about. And I don't necessarily buy into, hey, maybe Tomar Ray's not a bad guy. He feels like a bad guy to me. Now, don't get me wrong, he's been through some stuff, and I get it. But just because you're empathetic with somebody and you can understand why they do the things that they do, doesn't mean you agree with the things they do. And I think it's too soon to say. So for me, I don't know. He comes across as a real jerk and seems like a grade A villain to me. But we'll see. We'll see how it all. We'll see how it all turns out. But the battle, I mean, again, getting the information. You've talked before about the kind of what Al Ewing has set up here and compared it to the Padawans and what have you, and Jedi and all that sort of stuff, Jedi Masters in Star Wars. And it's a good comparison. And it is interesting or whatever. But at times, the word that I keep coming back to is it's so inscrutable, right? Sometimes it's so obtuse. It's hard to know. Like, I'm sure if we all sat down and Al Ewing was explaining it all to us and whatever, maybe we'd lose a little of the satisfaction and joy of discovering it ourselves and understanding ourselves. But we might get more out of the fact that we'd be like, oh, that's a cool idea. I didn't realize that, and that sort of thing. But we really can set all that aside and just talk about, hey, there's gorgeous art and gorgeous color work in this issue. Plus, it's just a badass fight between Tomar Ray and Joe Mullane. Like it's just a cool fight. So ultimately, when I was talking to Adam outside the shop, I was like, you know what it's like. Let me give another analogy here, as opposed to Lost. And not everybody will get this, but for anybody out there who's golfed or been a golfer or tried to learn or master the game of golf, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Golf is such a challenging game. It's so hard to be good at it, even to just shoot even par. That's why you'll see these big PGA tournaments at times, and the person that wins doesn't even shoot par; they're over par. Golf it's a very difficult game, and so you get frustrated. You're out there on the course, and you're like, "That's it. I'm never golfing again," or whatever. And then you'll think that, and then 2 shots later, you'll hit a magnificent shot. And that's really what we're talking about. Like amateur golfers, the reason they struggle is because you're not consistent, right? You don't swing the club the same way every time. You don't strike the ball the same way every time. So you don't get consistent results. But every once in a while, you'll just get a hold of one and you'll hit just a perfect shot, just a perfect golf shot. And it feels so good. First of all, just physically, the way it feels, the ball coming off the club and everything. And then to see the results, it feels good as well. And that's enough. Usually you can have 1 or 2 of those, at least for me. I get 1 or 2 of those around. And then it's like, oh yeah, that's why I play. Because you strive to be able to do that every time, right? And then it's fun. And that's absolute Green Lantern, right? We get just like, you get frustrated with it, you don't understand it, you get a little bit of action, but it's more questions and answers. And then you get issues like last issue where it goes completely off the rails. It's like, getting a quadruple bogey, hit your ball in the water, whatever. It's so frustrating. You're ready to like throw your golf club. But then on the next hole, the next issue, you hit like a perfect tee shot. And you're like, oh, it feels so good. That's absolute Green Lantern. That's absolute Green Lantern. It's like this issue is like a perfect golf shot for that guy who rarely hits a perfect golf shot. It sucks you back in, and now you're like, all right, I'm in for the next issue. And now the next issue, maybe it goes back down and it's not great and whatever, and you start wondering, why am I reading this again? That's absolute Green Lantern to me. Like
Yeah.
it's, and I'm not saying that the story. I want to be clear. I'm not saying that the story that Al Ewing is telling is inconsistent. I'm saying my enjoyment of it, my understanding of it, is inconsistent, and that's on me. That's a subjective thing. Um, and so yeah, I was ready to be done. Like when I opened up my iPad and was sitting there waiting for Free Comic Book Day to start, and I went to the press portal and I looked and I'm like, okay, what books am I going to read this week? And I was like, oh, Absolute Green Lantern, oh god. And then I read it, I started reading, and I was like, oh, this is so good, this is so good. And so yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. This is in my top 3 this week. It's fantastic. After, I'm pretty sure the last issue was dead last for me when we read it. So yeah, it's just a wildly inconsistent title for me. And eventually that inconsistency may get to the point where even when I have a good issue, it's not going to be enough. But for now, a good issue, like what I would say is like a perfect issue of Absolute Green Lantern, is enough to pull me back in.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Al Ewing's doing that purposely, where he knew this issue was really great and it built on a lot of the foundational stuff that he'd built before. And so he's like, well, if I have to put in the issue with like the Shade the Changing Man / Adam Strange hybrid character, I'll put that right before. So if anybody gets frustrated with it, then I'll get him back on board with the next issue. I don't know if he's thinking about it that far in depth, but yeah, what a Jekyll and Hyde series for me, definitely. All right, let's move on. Up next, we have Adventures of Superman, the Book of L, number 8, written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, art by Cian Torme, colors by Matt Herms, letters by Dave Sharp. I am still enjoying this, but again, this is not a series that's for. It is not new reader friendly. You have to have read all of PKJ's run of Superman, Action Comics, his War World Saga, what have you, and his John Stewart War Journal series, and even you could make the argument his Future State, Man of Tomorrow, I think it was called.
Yeah.
You need to have read all that in order for this to make sense. So this actually came in at number 8 for me. I am enjoying it, but I'm invested in the mythos of Superman or what have you. And so I do enjoy it. I think Cian Torme art is good or what have you. But yeah, the biggest criticism I have on this is just it's not new reader friendly. And even myself, who's read all that stuff, I'm not getting as much out of this as I would if I could keep all that stuff straight. Because again, Philip Kennedy Johnson, master world builder. The problem is when you read as many comics as I do, it's hard to remember it all. So I think PKJ's entire run on Action Comics will go back to from his Future State Superman stuff to Action Comics to Green Lantern War Journal to this. Like if you put it all in one omnibus and read it as one story, I think it would do a better service to the story itself, because it's hard to keep in your brain everything that's going on with these characters and what have you. So anything to add, Rocky?
Yeah, just it's very weird because the Future State storyline back at Future State, a series which, I mean, it wasn't well received. Future State, it wasn't, but this, for whatever reason, DC decided that Adventures of Superman apparently was one of the more better received storylines. Not by me, but apparently I'm in the minority, and I apparently one of the more interesting elements was that Cersei, traditionally an enemy of Wonder Woman, actually ends up at some point, seducing or mind controlling Superman, and they have a kid, and that this kid plays a role in this series. And then also Rue, one of the adopted kids of Superman, he gained the power of Olgrim at the end of PKJ's Action Comics arc or Superman arc or whatever. And so Oso Ra is gaining the power is trying to address the power of having the power of Olgrim. And so those two storylines are coming to a head here. So this is not new reader friendly at all. I'm a little bit lost myself, and I've sort of and I read each of these issues, and I just I hope when they collect this, they give a lot of explanatory notes at the beginning, because it'll need it. Quite frankly, it just needs it.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Well, we'll give Rocky a chance to talk a lot, because up next we have Batgirl number 19 from Tate Bromble, Takeshi Miyazawa on pencils and inks, Juan Castro also on inks, Mike Spicer on colors, and Tom Napolitano on letters. To no one's surprise, this is in Rocky's top 5, and this comes in at number 7 for me.
To no one's surprise, it's not in Jace's top 5.
Yeah, I mean, leans in heavily to the martial arts stuff. I will say this: it wraps up the storyline very, very well. So credit where credit is due to Tate Bromble, but for somebody like me who's not invested in these characters, for somebody like Rocky who is invested in the characters, it works. So. Yeah. Give us your thoughts.
Well, first of all, I just want to give another shout out to Tate Bromble and to thank him again. I met him at Calgary Comic-Con, Calgary Expo a couple of weeks ago. He's a great guy. He was very generous to me. He gave me a deal. He signed my comics, and I was quite happy about that. And he was pleased to hear that I complimented him on what I think is sort of a rejuvenation of the martial arts side of the DC universe. And he's done a really good job on Batgirl. And he even essentially tacitly accepted the challenge of making Spoiler an interesting character for me in the pages of New Titans, of which I'm not a huge fan of, but if anybody can turn my opinion on that series, Tate will rise to the challenge. In any event, so Batgirl, I was surprised. We're 3 issues in, and I thought we were going to get a lot more. Batgirl's got powers to manipulate her blood. She's not part of the Wu clan. There's a blood legacy, and it's related to this Wu Lin family. And interestingly enough, we discover in this issue that, well, first of all, the whole story wraps up, which is really surprising. I'm a little bit disappointed in one small way, and that is that I wanted Cassandra Cain to maybe have at least 6 or 7 or maybe even 10 or more issues to be able to experiment with her blood powers in mainstream Gotham. I would have liked to have seen that. So this 3 issues and we're done, and she gives up. She doesn't have the power of the blood anymore, and it's primarily because this is really related to the outcome of DCKO. We remember at the outcome of DCKO where apparently there's alpha energy that's permeated throughout the universe. Superman wins the Omega tournament, gives up the Omega energy, but then because of all the alpha energy he got from Doomsday, alpha energy goes throughout the universe, and as a consequence of the alpha energy going out to the universe, Wu Lin's father, who is a character in this series, Wu Lin's father, the alpha energy creates a cosmic loophole, allowing him to gain access to his son, Wu Lin's soul, and this allows him to curse Batgirl with a blood curse against her will, because it should never have happened. So it should not have been possible, given the Wu Lin blood legacy, for it to have gone outside the family into Batgirl. But the cosmic oddity of the alpha energy, the once in a billionth lifetimes of happenstance, this allows the upset the apple cart to allow Cassandra Cain thanks to the betrayal of Wu Lin's father, he betrays the Blood Clan, and he ends up also betraying the legacy of the Midnight Eye, who is God of the blood, and the Midnight Eye is one of the gods of the spirit world. And the spirit world, of course, this Midnight Eye, the god of the blood, controls it. And it's so the main character, Wu himself, Batgirl, ends up Batgirl and Tenji Turner, Jade Tagger, and Jaya end up they think they're being betrayed by Wu Lin, because Wu Lin makes a deal with the Midnight Eye, saying, "Look, I'm going to sacrifice Batgirl, Jaya, and Tenji, the Jade Tagger, but let me be your agent in the real world." And we thought Wu Lin was betraying Batgirl, but it ends up he went into the real world, and he came back to rescue Batgirl, and he told Midnight Eye, "Look, my father betrayed you. We need to right the wrongs." and my father, because my father betrayed you, you know, Batgirl deserves to be released from this curse because of this cosmic injustice. And so the Midnight Eye agrees to that, but not before he has Batgirl agree to, at some point, Batgirl will be called upon by the Midnight Eye, and perhaps someday in the future return to Spirit World to do a favor for the Midnight Eye, one of the god of the blood of the Spirit World. So I think it was very good. It was very martial artsy, dealing with some mysticism and what have you, and we got some new characters. I thought it was a lot of story crammed into 3 issues. But I kind of like that, and just as a general observation, I find that more and more of the mainstream comics at DC, we're getting more stories sort of crammed in to some of the issues, and I think that's a skill, and Tate Bromwell is rising to the challenge. So I don't mind the fact that we got 3 issues of a good tight story with a lot of characters. There's a lot of substance. There's a lot of dialogue, maybe more dialogue than was needed, quite frankly. But I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, and there was bang for my buck. There was substance here. Because I was invested in these characters, I like the fact that somebody made the comment, I forget who it was, it's not important. Just, I was reminded recently about taking the time to read a comic. Don't take the time to enjoy a comic. Don't, especially for us longtime readers, we sometimes have a tendency to speed read, and especially when I got a lot of comics to read, I have to remind myself, these comics are meant to be enjoyed, and when there's a lot of dialogue, don't be dismayed. Enjoy the dialogue, enjoy the art. Take time to enjoy the art. In fact, it was the writer of the Oddity, the Bad Idea comic. You reviewed it on your channel.
Tony Millionaire.
Right. Yeah.
Tony Millionaire.
Tony Millionaire. Yeah. His comic, Cosmic. What is it called? Oddities.
Oddball's Odyssey.
Oddball's Odyssey. He says in the preamble of that, he encourages, before you read that, to enjoy the comic. He said, enjoy the pictures. Take the time. He says, do me a favor. Enjoy this comic. Take your time reading it, for God's sakes. And he even writes a little bit of a vulgarity. But anyways, that's just my general commentary on this. I enjoyed this. I'm enjoying what Tate Bromwell's doing on this title. And a shout out to the covers. The covers are fantastic. The cover A is just really, really good. And cover B is pretty damn good too. So what are your thoughts? I know it wasn't in your top 5, but
yeah. Well, I really enjoyed Oddball's Odyssey. I thought it was fantastic. I was so humbled. Tony Millionaire. I mean, he's won many awards. I think he's won just about every award there is to win in the world of cartooning. And he commented on my video. Nice. I was stunned. I was stunned. I check every day, see if anybody's commented on my YouTube videos, and So I click on the notification bell, and it pops up, and it says something like, your review really surprised me. And it you really understood what I was getting at. And I was like, wait, this sounds like it's coming from the point of view of the person that wrote it. Because the name it wasn't like the username was like Tony Millionaire. It was just a bunch of random letters and numbers. But I went and looked up who that person was. And yeah, that's Tony Millionaire's channel. I guess he used to do drawing tutorials on YouTube or whatever. So I was so humbled. So anyway, he's completely right too. When I'm rushed, when we have those weeks where there's like 17 DC books or whatever, I really don't enjoy them as much because I feel the pressure of having to read them, and I don't pay as much attention or whatever. Just it's a time thing. So yeah, it's good advice. I mean, we do this because we love it. We should be trying to enjoy the ride. So yeah, I don't really have much else to add. Like I said, I think Bromwell did a great job of tying everything up. It answered all the questions. I sort of agree with you a little bit on it would have been nice to see Cassandra use the ability to turn her blood into bladed weapons a little more, on the streets of Gotham, whatever. But then I see the other side of it too. That's not who Batgirl is as a character. She's really a martial artist and what have you. So would you have wanted to see that? I don't know. I can go back and forth. But I mean, to me, the biggest takeaway is just the kind of the new status quo and how much Bromwell is building the kind of the lore behind Cassandra Cain's family and what have you. Like, he's done a lot in only 19 issues in terms of building out a rich backstory for her more than anybody has ever come close to doing. Now, I enjoy her, but that's the part of her that I didn't really care. Like, I don't really care about her, who her mother is and whatever. I just like seeing her take out the bad guys and do it quietly. She talks a lot more now. She's got more of a family in a lot of ways. So it's like they're pivoting her away from the version that's my favorite version of her. And I'm fine. I don't, I'm not going to be like, no, don't do that. I don't own the character. I have no particular, ownership of her or whatever. So if this is the direction they want to take her, and other Batgirl fans like yourself are happy with it, and hey, great. Not every comic is for every person. I prefer the, more lone, silent, fighting street crime version of Cassandra Cain. That's not what this is, but it's been done very, very well, and it has enriched her as a character, and it's giving a chance for fans of the martial arts corner of DC a chance to see characters that they don't get to see a lot. I do like Bronze Tiger a lot. What's his name?
Tenji Turner.
Ben Turner.
Ben Turner's son.
Yeah,
It's
Ben Turner. Yeah.
Tenji is his name. His first name. Tenji.
Yeah, him. I'm not saying that. Like, I don't really care about Tenji. I like Ben. I like the Bronze Tiger.
Yeah.
The Jade Tiger, whatever. I could take him or leave him. Half brother of Cassandra, whatever.
Yeah.
I would like to. I would be more interested. Like, if I want to read the martial arts corner of the DCU, I want to go read about Ben Turner and maybe Richard Dragon a little bit or whatever. These characters and Lady Shiva and these others, I don't have any investment in them. But the reason I like Bronze Tiger is because I read so much of him in the Suicide Squad, the classic Suicide Squad, John Ostrander, and that's where I came to like that character. So that's more, my love of that character or whatever. So I say all that to say this wasn't in my top 5. It was okay. Came in at number 7 for me. But again, this comic's not for me because it's not speaking to the things in DC Comics that I really love. So, all right, let's move on. Up next, Poison Ivy. We're up to issue number 44 as we march toward 50. G. Willow Wilson is the writer. Jaime Infante handles the art in this particular issue. Arif Prianto on colors. Hassan Otsman Elhau on letters. This is in my top 5. Did it come into my top? Yeah, it's in my top 3, actually. That saying, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. It sort of feels a little bit like that with the choices that Pamela Isley's making. But at the same time, that's the brilliant job that G. Willow Wilson has done, because before Ivy became mayor, she felt backed into a corner. Her back was up against the wall. And so I can't condemn her for any of the things that she's doing, because I can't say that in her position, backed into the corner, that I wouldn't come out swinging the same way that she has if I had her abilities. And she's doing it because she has the best of intentions. Now, that old saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, is 100% accurate. She's stepping way over the line. She's doing stuff that can't be justified in my mind politically, morally, legally, but she's Poison Ivy. Like, remember, Rocky, like the very first couple issues of this where we were like, what the hell is G. Willow Wilson trying to do?
Yeah.
Based on where Poison Ivy was at the time with DC Comics, it felt like they were trying to take her out of the role of a villain because they had her in that relationship with Ivy. We were like, where's this going? That is the brilliance of what G. Willow Wilson has done throughout this series, is that I find myself most of the time rooting for Poison Ivy. And even here, when she kills the corrupt contractors or whatever, takes out anybody, they deserve to be taken out. But it is vigilante justice. It is morally questionable, and it is 100% legally wrong what she's doing. But even here, with her clearly stepping over the line, I find myself rooting for her, just like I have found myself rooting for her for the majority of this series. But that central question is kind of still there. And just because we're sort of on the side of Poison Ivy, and she is the protagonist, and she's the engine that drives the story, and it's told from her point of view, and we find ourselves relating to her and understanding why she makes the choices that she makes, because of the situation that she's been in and everything that G. Willow Wilson's put her through this 40 plus issues, even though we have that point of view, objectively, if you step back and go, okay, well, is she a hero or is she a villain? It's not that simple. This is not a story that has ever been black and white. It's not characters that ever have felt black and white and easily defined. And that's what makes it so good, and that's what makes it so interesting and so compelling, because life is that way. Life is not black and white. Life is not tied up with a nice, neat bow. So I go back to that comparison I've made many times before, that maybe some people think that I'm out of my mind or whatever, but the thing I keep comparing it to in terms of elevating a character is Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, right? Just this mindless vegetative creature that just, random zombie monster, if you will, before Alan Moore added so much depth and mythos and character. And G. Willow Wilson has done the same thing to Poison Ivy. So this continues to be a masterwork in character development. It continues to defy, in a way, classification, and it definitely defies convention when you talk about telling a conventional story for a traditional DC supervillain. This has to be I can't say for sure, but this has to be the longest running DC villain title, right? And again, I use that term villain loosely because she's not a villain in the traditional sense, although maybe she's leaning more that direction these days. Because it's like, just off the top of my head, I'm like, you tell me, okay, Commissioner or Vandal Savage, Commissioner of the Gotham City Police Department. And my knee-jerk reaction is, that's bad. He's a villain. He should not be. Should not have that level of power, that level of legitimacy. And then you immediately, next sentence, say, Poison Ivy, Mayor of Gotham City. Yeah, I'm okay with that. They're both villains, right? Like, at the end of the day, they're both traditionally villains. Now, you could make the argument that in more recent time, DC editorial has made a decision to make Poison Ivy a little more sympathetic, a little less villainous or what have you. But that's just recent. If we go back to, classic roles in DC here, they're both villains. And I'm okay with one having the seat of legitimate political power in Gotham, and the other one I'm not. And that's a credit to G. Willow Wilson. So this continues to be amazing. I continue to be impressed with it. I thought it was a good choice for a fill-in artist. If it's not going to be the usual artist, Marcio Takara, Jaime Infante is a good choice because his style is very similar to Takara's art. So, good issue. Easily, this was an easy pick for my top three. What are your thoughts?
I really like what J. Willow Wilson's doing here. She's actually juxtaposing Harley's rise, both in terms of she's supposed to be the middle negotiator between the green and the gray. And bear in mind, she killed Bog Venus. She kind of violated her promise.
You said Harley, you meant Ivy.
Poison Ivy. Poison Ivy is supposed to be the mediator between the green and the gray, and Poison Ivy violated the agreement by basically killing Bog Venus and essentially eating Bog Venus, her and Janet from HR. And then here she is rising in the ranks and gaining more power as mayor of Gotham. And the very last page says quite a bit. Poison Ivy realizes that she's bit off a lot. She murders in pursuit of her own political agenda. She says, let them come, let them all come. I've climbed too high to fall now. Well, she basically said the same thing, but with different words, to the talking hill at the beginning, who basically was trying to tell her, saying, please go apologize to the green. Try to soothe things over. This is kind of a big deal. And even Batman in this issue, as I mentioned earlier, he gives her an opportunity. He shows up and he tells Janet from HR, look, if she resigns, tell Pamela to resign as mayor, and she's a free woman and I won't go after her. But she's not going to do that. And I love that J. Willow Wilson has done this, because she stayed true to Pamela is not a good person, or she's not a good guy. She has her own method of doing things, her own way of doing things, and that's what makes her so interesting. And that's what makes this entire series, we're at issue 44, so interesting, and it's continued to impress us, is that is that, it makes sense that she would be more on the side of Vandal Savage than Batman. It just does. And also, she's also ideally suited to be sort of a mediator, an aggressive one who makes her own choice and has her own agency in any dispute between the green and the gray. And so it's very well done. J. Willow Wilson really does seem to have a good handle on this complex character. And let's not forget that her and Harley are broken up. And I like that too. And she's kind of with Janet from HR, but she kind of isn't. She's got her relationships are as screwed up as her politics. Well, you could almost argue that she's more in control. She's Poison Ivy really likes power. She's getting, and this is the hint of potential danger for her, where I like where this might be going. Poison Ivy is really enjoying the power trip here. She's getting more and more powerful, and she's getting away with it. And she's getting more and more powerful, arguably even between her standing between the green and the gray. At some point, the higher you are, the harder the fall is. Is she going to resign, or is she going to find out the hard way that the old expression, like you said, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Where is this going to go? How is this going to end? Harley was traditionally in the ongoing relationship between Harley and Poison Ivy. Harley and Poison Ivy always sort of saved each other. They were each other's, if you want to say, immoral compass, for lack of a better way of putting it, that sort of prevented the other one from going a little bit too far, right? But where's this going to go? I don't know, but I really like it, and J. Willow Wilson has more than earned my trust to continue to read this series with a smile on my face.
Yeah, I can't believe we're going to get 50 issues. We've never had Hawkman run 50 issues. One of the oldest characters, been around since the Golden Age. Yeah. We're going to get 50 issues of a Poison Ivy run. It's crazy to me. Anyway, up next we have JSA number 19 from writer Jeff Lemire, art by Diego Orlatugi, colors by Luis Guerrero, letters by Steve Wands. This one came in for me at number 5, but again, in another week, it would not have been the case. The art is strong. I'm enjoying that it's the Spectre, and I'm enjoying that it's not just, hey, the Spectre's coming back and the Spectre's on the team, whatever. Like, no, there's some question as to whether they want the Spectre on the team. There's questions as to whether, who the Spectre is going to bond with. They're searching for Jim Corrigan. In the beginning of this issue, Spectre's trying to bond with the female Kid Eternity. So there's a lot of fun stuff going on here. There's some really good character work with Yolanda, the current Wildcat, and the young Hourman and the young Sandy. So I almost feel like that JSA Year One story that recently concluded was like this detour away from the thing that Jeff Lemire really wanted to do. There could be some argument whether he should have started with some stronger character story as opposed to establishing that the first story that we got with against the Injustice Society or whatever. But be that as it may, I'm enjoying this. I'm glad we're back to sort of present day and we're done with the Year One storyline. And this is kind of what I want out of a JSA comic. So I really enjoyed it. But again, in a stronger week, it wouldn't have made my top 5. So anything to add, Rocky?
Not really. It came in at number 6 for me, but a low 6. I continue to be underwhelmed by this entire series. And I think Kid Eternity as a choice for Spectre is a very uninspired choice. I'm just not into that. Spectre is a character that I think deserves more of a Vertigo title, more of a serious take than this. I've never been able to get behind the art, and it's never fully grasped me. If this is a Spectre story, it should be. Well, in fact, I'll give there's a variant cover of the Spectre on it that is. It should feel a little bit more mystical, more powerful. The Spectre is an enormously powerful individual, and I'm just not feeling it. It makes no sense to go with Kid Eternity, her being a spirit of vengeance. I don't buy it. I just can't. The storyline just doesn't grab me. It just doesn't. and even the character interactions here, the potential romances between the characters. I don't know. It's just not grabbing me. It's not. I don't feel that there's really enough at stake. I should feel more invested in this, but I'm not. And that's just me. I just, it's one of those things. It's just, I can't really get behind it as much as I would like. But it is what it is. But fortunately, I don't have to say much more about it. I am a fan of Diego Tego's art. No disrespect to him. The art is very, very good. It is very good. It's just, I think for a Spectre story, I would have liked a little bit more of just more of a horror element to it, and maybe a little bit more of a Vertigo type story being told here. But whatever.
Yeah, I get you, 100%. All right, up next we have Tales of the Green Lantern Corps, Guy Gardner #1 from writer Jerry Dugan, art by Matteo Loli, Laura Braga, and Vasco Gregov, colors by John Kalish, letters by Dave Sharp. This was okay. Didn't feel like anything particularly special. Came in at #9 for me. I will say, for having 3 artists on it, I thought the art was actually pretty consistent. The most interesting thing is, you wonder how much this may come back to tie into what's going on in Jeremy Adams' Green Lantern run right now, because we know that the Manhunters are a part of the storyline that Jeremy's telling, and we get Guy Gardner here with a hunch that the Manhunters might be up to something. So that was the most interesting aspect to me, but I'm just not enough of a Guy Gardner fan to have really enjoyed this, I guess is how I'll put it. So I thought it was I just thought it was okay. What do you think?
Yeah, same thing. I don't got much to add. This came in at #8 for me. I never really. I'm generally not much of a Guy Gardner fan at the best of times. I don't know why we needed to have a separate tale for this. I don't know why this, but I mean, Gary Duggan does a good job here. The art is really good. Who's the artist?
Well, there's 3 of them. That's what I was.
Oh yeah, because I actually liked the art. The whole thing was visually, color work was really great, and I really liked. It was good. Like this was one of those ones where I enjoyed the read. It was a nice intergalactic tale, and it was all right. I just I felt like the whole story of the Manhunters. I thought I didn't really feel that a hell of a lot much new was being said here. But it doesn't hurt. But this isn't something that I didn't have this in my order list, and I don't know if I'm gonna pick this up because it's probably I think it's probably a $10 comic, isn't it? It's 41 pages, so it's probably $6.99 or $7.99. So for a price point in terms of plot wise, I don't think I need to pick this up to add to my collection. And again. And I say that reluctantly because normally back in the day, as little as 10 years ago, I'd pick this up. But comics are too expensive now, and there's a whole pool of other indies out there. I just can't add this to the list.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, last book we're going to talk about in detail, Absolute Superman #19, Reign of the Superman Part 2, Red Steel in the Hour of Chaos, Jason Aaron writer, Rafa Sandoval on art, Ulysses Areola on colors, Becca Carey on letters. What an epic book, what an epic battle. I have one tiny nitpick that I want to mention just to see if you noticed it. But I want you to go first. Give me your thoughts on this.
Want me to go first? Well, first of all, I don't know if it's cover B or C, but I love the cover. I don't know who draws it of, I guess, the King Shazam, Absolute King Shazam, who I want to say Absolute Black Adam, but I guess he's called King Shazam in the Absolute universe. It's awesome.
That covers by Chuma Hill, who is somebody I've never heard of.
I have heard of Chuma Hill. I would have not had. I've heard of her, but I would not have associated that style of art to her. That's interesting. Now I'm gonna have to Google her again because I have heard that name. But in any event, great cover. All the covers are great. What a surprise! Absolute Superman always has great covers. As for the story. I mean, again, what a surprise! This made my top 3. This has been this story is really. I love this. I mean, last issue ended with Superman confronting Ra's al Ghul, interfering, or rather, trying to stop Lois from killing Ra's al Ghul. And then meanwhile, Talia shows up, and and then Steel shows up. Steel has an agenda of wanting to kill Ra's al Ghul as well. This issue, we learn about Steel. We learn about his background. We learn that Steel himself in the Absolute Universe was a genius. He was a very intelligent person, but as a young man, his genius was discovered, but he was exploited by the Raw Corporation, or exploited by the ne'er-do-wells in the Absolute Universe, and basically relegated to basically working for minimum wage in this factory. But even then, he's a genius, and he creates this hammer, and he wants to ultimately avenge his father, and he wants to kill Ra's al Ghul, and so that's why he ends up confronting Ra's al Ghul just when King Shazam shows up. So we get this. Just the way this all converged from the last issue to this issue, Jason Aaron does such a good job scripting these moments, because so much happens here, but it feels so natural. It feels like I'm watching a cool, epic action scene with great dialogue, great agency for all the character arcs. Lois Lane wants revenge against Ra's al Ghul. Talia wants revenge. She wants to kill Lois and Superman, and she also she's angry at her father. King Shazam appears, and King Shazam has his own history that we learned about last issue. He's 3,000 years old, and he sees some significance of this Superman character, and he speaks in an ancient language that Superman can identify only partly of, and he goes at super speed, and he reads some books to try to understand King Shazam. King Shazam is angry because he believes he's destined to rule the world, or destined to save the world. And we know it's linked to Brainiac, because the Brainiacs are linked to the origin of King Shazam 3,000 years ago. But Ra's al Ghul is responsible for caging King Shazam. And upon discovery of this, there's just epic moments of King Shazam smashing into Superman, the battle happening at super speed, them traveling at Mach 25, battling it out, Superman bleeding over 4 or 5 continents. I mean, it's epic. It's just awesome and cool. And again, take your time. I'm talking fast reviewing this, but guys, take your time reading this. Take your time. Enjoy the pages. Enjoy the blood. Enjoy the action. Enjoy the scenes. Enjoy the pan work. It's just great storytelling. It's a lot of fun. And Ra's al Ghul ends up being, oh my God, King Shazam ends up literally eviscerating into pieces Ra's al Ghul, and Talia's reaction. I mean, it's just, and the setup. Now Talia and Lois Lane have something in common. They both have remarkably dysfunctional relationship with their fathers, and both their fathers are dead. And Talia has some comment with Lois Lane, and Lois Lane feels that I love even that there's a moment where Superman gives Lois Lane back the watch and says, put this watch back on, it'll help heal you. And I think Lois Lane feels that she disappointed Superman. And I think she did disappoint Superman, because Superman, he went out on a limb. Superman himself goes out on a limb. He saves Ra's al Ghul. He teaches Ra's al Ghul. He tries to reform Ra's al Ghul, only to have it all be for naught. King Shazam kills him in one fall swoop. And Superman's got to deal with that. Meanwhile, there's got to be a part of Superman that's disappointed in Lois Lane for wanting to kill Ra's al Ghul. But then Steel is inspired. Steel goes in to kill Ra's al Ghul, but he's inspired by Superman, and he steps in, and Superman's actions inspire Steel to try to protect Superman against the battle against King Shazam, because King Shazam seems to be doing a pretty good job of kicking Superman's ass a little bit. He's getting one up on Superman in the battle. And then through all this, at the very end, what do we? Hawkman shows up at the end. Like, wow. I mean, just adrenaline rush, imbued with good character moments, great one-liner. I mean, this was just a joy to read. I loved it. Just Jason Aaron's just hitting it out of the park. And, again, I've really been enjoying Absolute Batman. But I gotta, and I've loved the last one of Absolute Wonder Woman. I mean, I can't believe I'm still going back and forth. Absolute Wonder Woman's best. No, Absolute Batman's favorite. No, it's Absolute. I'm. What a wonderful problem to have. And this is a great comic. This isn't just a good one, it's a great one. And it's just another example between this, Absolute Wonder Woman, Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman. I am loving the Absolute Universe. And that rising tide is keeping me invested in Absolute Green Lantern and Absolute Flash, even Absolute Martian Manhunter to some extent. And of course, we're all looking forward to reading Absolute Green Arrow, which is coming out. And so, yeah. But I love this, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Well, haven't you've already read Absolute Green Arrow, haven't you?
Well, yeah, but I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to give any hints to others that I have. So
No. We have been fortunate enough to read it. It's amazing. Make sure you guys pick it up the day it comes out. It's awesome.
yeah,
I do not have the problem you have with which one's best between Absolute Wonder Woman, Absolute Batman, and Absolute Superman.
yeah,
Obviously, 'cause we
yeah.
all know that I'm just Absolute Batman not resonating with me. I love Absolute Wonder Woman, but it's an easy choice between this and Absolute Wonder Woman. This is, as you said, a great comic.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the moments, and there are so many great moments here. Moments that land in terms of battle. You kept using the word epic, and that's the perfect word. The scope of this battle, the art from Rafa Sandoval, it illustrates the power level of these beings so well, and it's awesome because the Absolute Universe is not a universe that's used to seeing this level of power, on display all the time. Not the way the main universe, that's been around for decades longer, is a little more used to seeing that kind of stuff. But I was reminded as I was reading it and noticing a great cool moment, great humorous one liner, or great epic battle moment, or great emotional moment with Talia and her father. And I was thinking about a comic that I read recently that was also filled with moments. Every story had a moment, every particular, and I use the term story loosely there, and I'm talking about the Spider-Man Superman special from Marvel that I did not particularly enjoy because it was just moments and there was no connective tissue. This is the way you do it. And again, they're completely different animals, and the challenge there for a lot of those creators is they only had 6 pages or 8 pages or whatever. And it's hard to do. It's hard to do in that level of context. And Jason Aaron's, this is a completely different animal with, much more long form storytelling and connective tissue or what have you. But the point still stands that the moments resonate here more because of the surrounding story, because it is so awesome to see the power level. You as egotistical and kind of self-centered and obstinate as this King Shazam is, you get the sense that there's a little bit of self-doubt as well. And that might be because he was imprisoned for so long and he's unsure of where he's at. He's unsure of what the world around him looks like now that he's awakened. Maybe there's a little self-doubt that he couldn't believe that he was imprisoned for that long, that somebody could get the drop on him and keep him imprisoned for that long. But he knows the prophecy, right? He recites a little bit of it himself, and we saw that from the absolute version of the Phantom Stranger last issue when the slave Tet Adam eventually becomes King Shazam or whatever, and it was talking about the Savior's going to come, he's going to have the dust of his world on his back or whatever. And so here he is, he's been awakened. Maybe he's a little incredulous that he was, again, able to be in prison for that long and somebody got to drop him in the first place. So one of the first things, he wakes up, he meets this guy who he's smart enough to know, hey, I was supposed to be the savior, right? That like I heard the prophecy and I didn't fit all of the narrative, but I took the power for myself. I was the one going to save the world, whatever. Now he wakes up, and the first thing that happens is he sees this guy that is the savior, that does tick all the boxes, that wears the dust of, his home, his lost planet on his back, whatever. Like, I think in the back of his mind, he knows, hey, this is the guy, and he's not happy that that's the guy. But what a great job that Jason Aaron does that so subtly that you could easily miss it if you didn't read the last issue carefully enough. If you didn't notice it in this issue, that's something that you could miss. But if you notice it, it just adds to the story. It adds to the angst. It adds to the tension because you know that that's bothering, because of the arrogance, because of the ego of King Shazam. You know that that's bothering him. So I loved that particular moment. Maybe my favorite moment though is the fact that, and Rocky alluded to it. Yeah, King Shazam, he literally eviscerates Ra's al Ghul. It's interesting. Is he really gone for good? Will he come back? What have you? But Talia was going to kill him, right? That's what she said. She was going to kill him. She had her mind made up last issue. She was going to murder him. And then Teth Adam kills him, and she's like a scene right out of, Macbeth or what have you. She's holding his head. How dare you leave me? She's holding his severed head, talking to it. How dare you leave me? How dare you leave me alone? And I was like, you were going to kill him. So maybe it's like one of those things. Hey, nobody picks on my little brother but me. So I found that to be really interesting as well. So yeah, this is a fantastic book. I won't, belabor the point. I loved it. Rocky did a good job kind of recapping what was going on. But yeah, the epicness and the moments, it all adds up to a fantastic issue. But the one little thing that I'll mention here, the one little, and it's the most minor of nitpicks. Maybe shouldn't even call it a nitpick, because in my mind, I can make it make sense pretty easily. But you notice early on in the issue that King Shazam has the long hair and the beard from having been in prison for such a long, long time. And then I'm reading through it, and they're starting this big battle or whatever. And then we get to the page where Superman is trying to talk to Teth Adam, and they're both kind of hovering above Metropolis. And Teth Adam's completely clean shaven.
Yeah.
Did you notice that, Rocky?
Yeah, that's right. And even at the end on the final page, he's clean shaven.
Yeah.
So maybe the friction from their flying or something.
Well, so that was my first thought. But it did when I saw that, it did pull me out of the story, and I went back. So, if you go back just a couple of pages, in the bottom panel where it looks like Teth Adam's almost like this smoke, this bird made out of smoke or whatever, Egyptian bird made out of smoke, whatever. And right after that, the next page, there's like a giant bolt of lightning that hits him. Yeah, that page right there. So all I could think was like, okay, well, the giant bolt of lightning hits him, and it like burned off his beard.
Yeah,
a lot of his hair. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
As it makes more sense to me than the friction of them flying. So that's what I'm going with. So if you noticed it, everybody, that's the sense the how I made sense of it. Yeah. But I will say the lightning did a really good job of leaving like almost like a long mohawk looking thing. His hair's gone. You can see it when they're battling on the beach. His hair's gone from the sides. All his facial hair's gone or whatever.
Yeah.
But again, just something I noticed, the most minor of nitpicks. I was like, whoa, wait a second. Did he have a giant beard?
Yeah.
And then
I think that is. I think you're right. You're right though that it's likely intentional. It's from the lightning or whatever. It's
had to be. But I thought it was an interesting choice, because you can even see it in that panel that it looks like the lightning is kind of down like around his chin or whatever.
Yeah. But I wonder also if it alludes to a weakness that he has, because Superman doesn't have that problem. Superman doesn't lose his hair or anything like that. But yet, what a curious thing that the lightning. It's almost like he's vulnerable to his own lightning. It is kind of interesting. So maybe it's just a artistic hiccup, or maybe that was by design from the battle, like we're saying. But maybe there's more to it.
Maybe he likes to be clean shaven and call down the lightning too. I mean, if I had the ability to walk outside and like snap my fingers and have lightning come down and handle my shaving, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Instead of taking 20 minutes in the shower every day to shave my head and face. So. Anyway, like I said, the most minor of nitpicks was just something I noticed, so I wanted to mention it. There's a really cool, it's behind me. If you're watching this on YouTube, everybody, really cool Jeff DeCall variant cover that I wanted to shout out as well. So, that's going to do it for the books. We're going to talk about in detail. Like I mentioned, there is a DC Sonic the Hedgehog crossover. It's DC Sonic the Hedgehog, the Metal Legion, issue #1, that's out this week. There are a couple of facsimiles as well. Detective Comics number 578 has just a regular facsimile, and then it has a blank cover facsimile and a foil version facsimile. And that's the Mike W. Barr, Todd McFarlane does the art. in it. Kind of classic stuff. And then as far as collected editions this week, we've got Absolute Batman Volume 1, the Zoo hardcover, and this was a special free comic book day version of that. So, your comic shop may have ordered some of those for free comic book day. They may still have some, they may not. I don't know. You'd have to check with them. The Batman Second Night hardcover. This is the Dan Jurgens, Mike Perkins drawn Black Label Batman back in the 30s, 40s. It's Black Label, but it doesn't actually contradict anything, so it's actually could easily be in canon, and it's very good. I highly recommend it. Mike Perkins does a fantastic job with the art. Galaxy Volume 2, As the World Falls Down. This is the YA book from Jadzia Axelrod. This is, standalone. This is not a collected edition. This is an original graphic novel. We have Green Arrow Year 1 in the DC Compact Comics line. This is the Andy Diggle written, Jock drawn Green Arrow Year 1 story that basically collects that. It's 152 pages for $10. We also have JLA Book 3 trade paperback. This is collecting the Grant Morrison run from back in the day. It's 560 pages for $40. It collects DC 1 million, 1 through 4, JLA 1 million, and 24 through 26. Green Lantern 1 million, Starman 1 million, Detective Comics 1 million, Adventures of Superman 1 million, Martian Manhunter 1 million, Resurrection Man 1 million, Superman Man of Tomorrow 1 million, JLA In Crisis, Secret Files and Origins, and the JLA Titans crossover 1 through 3. So, again, classic Grant Morrison stuff. If you're so inclined, you can pick that up. Nightwing, A Night in Bloodhaven Compendium, book number 3, which collects that story, the Night in Bloodhaven story. It's a classic story from I think the early 2000s. Chuck Dixon, Devin Grayson. That one is 1,200 pages for $60. We also have Supergirl's Family Vacation trade paperback. Again, this is a YA novel. It actually comes out on Tuesday this week. So it's original work. It's written by a guy named Brandon T. Snyder, and the art is by Sarah Levere. And then we have Zatanna by Paul Dini, omnibus hardcover, which collects a bunch of different detective comics, as well as the Zatanna run 1 through 16, Everyday Magic, Black Canary, Zatanna Blood Spill. You got 720 pages for $100, and that does it for the collected editions this week. So on to our rankings. I think it's my turn to go first. Tales of the Green Lantern Corps, Guy Gardner, number 1, comes in at 9 for me. At number 8, I've got Adventures of Superman, number 8. Adventures of Superman, Book of L, number 8. At number 7, Batgirl 19. At number 6, I have Batman Static Beyond, number 6. At number 5, JSA 19. Coming in at number 4, Batman number 9. For my top 3, I have Poison Ivy 44 at 3. Absolute Green Lantern 14 at number 2. Probably the surprise of the week for me. And then my number 1, easy pick, no-brainer, Absolute Superman 19. I'm pretty sure that probably 14 out of the 19 issues of Absolute Superman have been Book of the Week for me when it's come out. That book is just so damn good. Anyway, what are your rankings, Rocky?
Yeah, mine are coming in number 10. Well, I put DC v Sonic Hedgehog at the end. It's only because I never really read it. But number 9, Adventures of Superman, House of L, number 8. Coming in at number 8, Tales of Green Lantern, Guy Gardner, number 1. Number 7, Batman Static Beyond, number 6. At 6, JSA, number 19. My top 5 are, in 5th place, Batman 9. Coming in at number 4, Batgirl 19. Number 3, Poison Ivy 44. Number 2, Absolute Green Lantern 14. And number 1, Absolute Superman 19. It was just absolutely a blast. It was fantastic. Absolutely loved it. And it was, it was definitely, usually sometimes we can split up. Shout out to Absolute Green Lantern 14. I did enjoy it, but no, Superman, it was too, honestly, it wasn't a contest this week. It was absolute Superman all the way.
I don't know if you guys caught that, but that was not only the same book of the week for Rocky and I. We both had Absolute Green Lantern at number 2. We both had Poison Ivy at number 3. So
Yeah.
it wasn't until we get to number 4 where we have
Yeah.
a difference, and we're just off by one. You've got uh, Batman 9, and I've got it at 5. So
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, we didn't have anything that was really very far apart this week at all.
Yeah.
I think biggest our biggest split is on Batgirl 19. You had it at 4, and I had it at 7. So
Yeah.
only 3
Yeah.
apart. But again, it wasn't a big week, but I always find that fascinating to look at the comparison between where we rank things. So there you have it, everybody. Absolute Superman is absolutely not to be missed this week. It is so good. So anyway, that's going to do it. Don't forget, if you're listening to us on the audio only, you can find the podcast on all podcasting platforms and apps. And there's thousands of past episodes of the Comic Source to go and listen to, and we appreciate you joining us. But if you are listening to audio only and you want to see the art every week, you want to see our smiling faces, it always comes out on Rocky's channel late Tuesday or early Thursday. Life not getting in the way, with notwithstanding. But head over to YouTube, Comic Space Boom, ! On YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe when you're there. Ring that notification bell so you know when the new content drops. And as long as you're at YouTube, head over to the Comic Source channel as well. It's where Daily Spawn comes out, where the indie reviews come out, where the Marvel reviews come out as well. So again, we appreciate the support. We appreciate everybody listening, and we'll talk to you next time.
Catch you later.